so many things that we have discussed during the MANCOM, previous and the last MANCOM that we had, that day 1 is lesson 1, day 2 is lesson 2, day 3, and so on and so forth. And we also prepared a DepEd memorandum reminding our teachers and head teachers and supervisors on the preparation of the materials in terms of availability and adequacy, but more importantly, on the utilization of the materials. But I was very much displeased with what I have seen and with what I have heard from the other monitors, that most of our teachers have forgotten about the curriculum guide. If you ask them, where is the curriculum guide, they have so many different answers. It's at home, it was washed out by Yolanda, it is borrowed, it is at home, and many other reasons. The other one is, when I looked for the teacher's guide, I was not able to see the teacher's guide being used. I saw the teacher's guide after a thorough and after a continuous asking from the teacher, where is your teaching guide? Mahirap makita. Minsan, it was in another room. Kasi ma'am, nag-transfer pa lang ako. So, papakita sa akin, 3rd and 4th quarter. I was really not very happy. We have spent 50 million for training of grade 4 and grade 10. And with the kind of output that we discovered during the first week of school year, this is not something that we will be happy about. Sayang kung nagpuhunan tayong 50 million. And the other problem is the learners' modules. If you look at the activity sheets based on the teaching guide, the teacher would decipher which of the activities would fit the type of learners that they have for that particular school year. The teacher may discard some of activities if the activities are no longer relevant. So, there is also another material that is distributed by Manila. Let us try to configure whether the material that is printed by Manila is the same learners' modules that our teachers are using. So there are many things that are hindrances, that we consider hindrances in the implementation of the K-12. And the solution, our teachers need immediate solutions. And the head teachers and principals said they do not know because they were not trained. Training is not the answer. Just look at the materials, because a head teacher, a principal cannot supervise, will not be able to monitor what is being taught if she will not look or he will not look at the curriculum guide, the teaching guide, the learner's modules, and of course, the lesson plan. So parang niluloko tayo ng ating mga sariling tao. The secretary is thinking that we are doing our best, we are doing correctly, pero kulang. But instead of reprimanding them, we have to help them. Remind them that these are the materials. Your supervision will focus on this. What happened to the training? I have yet to see a class of a trainer. Pero instead of looking for the negative, looking for nothing, we have to help them. So ganun nga. Because Dr. Iman and all the regional supervisors under curriculum, let us help one another. Let us call all the curriculum and curriculum implementation division chiefs as nakasalalay sa iyo ni. You are no longer given tasks that are not for curriculum for curriculum, teaching, learning, instruction. The rest of the tasks are given to school governance. Ang iyo gud ang curriculum implementation. Ibig sabihin, magti-teach at teacher, at bata magli-learn, at principal magsusupervise. So, ganun ang curriculum implementation. Waray na niyo damo nga mga activities not related to curriculum implementation. The rest of the activities are given to the school governance. Ngan waray ni mga power, the chiefs of the school governance are support to the curriculum implementation division. The heart of the matter is in the CID, curriculum implementation. If you do not know the curriculum, how will you teach? How will you supervise? Because our principals are supposed to be teachers of teachers. How can they teach the teachers? How can they support our teachers if they do not know? Curriculum guide CG. We should not fail. We should succeed in this endeavor.
To model the curriculum. To model. Because these people who is watching my demonstration lesson is going to copy what is going on in my presentation. Is going to replicate. And there should be processing so that we will understand, we will meet eye to eye, that this is the kind of lesson that should take place in a 1-hour classroom recitation.
And some of the CJs are actually still in the process of finalization according to them, especially the Filipino.
Curriculum guides during grade 9, we were provided from grade 1 to grade 10. And we found out that the curriculum guide, some of the contents, I am not saying that 100% have been changed, but some or siguro mga 90% po, LCs, I mean learning competencies based on content standards and performance standards were modified with the availability of the CGs during grade 9 training. And that is for grade 7, ma'am. And these learning competencies are no longer aligned to the available learners modules that we have in our schools. And that is true until now. We are still waiting for the LMs for grade 7 aligned to the available curriculum guides now. We don't have LMs printed, same with that of the other learning areas. It's still draft copy. If it is still draft copy, please limit the reproduction because it is not yet finalized. Yung po.
Have you checked, ma'am, the same draft?
Draft pa rin po. Yes, ma'am.
If this is a draft, yes, we have to limit the reproduction, but the reproduction should be on a day-to-day basis. Di siya production for posterity. Para may magamit lang ang...
Opo, ma'am. That's what we're doing right now.
What I have found is when a teacher told me that the learners modules are not aligned to the CG, parang ang indicator was that yes, in grade 7, ang nakita niya sa teacher's guide, hindi na, halimbawa, page 1. Hindi na siya page 1 doon sa learner's modules.
In Filipino grade 8, I also found out that TGs are not aligned to the LMs provided because TGs were anchored on UBD. Yung pong nangyari. And the teacher would have to look for paano ba ito i-align? And then I told her, you have to follow what is indicated in the curriculum guide. The sequence of the learning competency should be followed as indicated in the curriculum guide.
Correct. Okay. May data ni mga instructions. The curriculum guide is the be-all.
Yes, ma'am.
Curriculum guide, amo ko din susundon. It's not the material that you will use. So, ang teaching guide will follow the curriculum guide in terms of objective. All other materials that could be used to achieve the objective could be used. Hindi siya fixed na ininga learners modules amo good line eh. Even our textbooks can still be used. Kung ang teacher iya gamiton ang learner module kay masa niya kanan UBD or what, mali na iya. Dapat curriculum guide align to the teaching guide, then look for materials, look for activities, ganon. It does not mean, it does not follow one-to-one correspondence. So, may nagyahapon ni teacher, thinking activity. So, in our instructions, talaga ikaklaro natin, okay?
To be clarified, talking about the evolution of the curriculum, guys, which you have said, according to the training development division, a unit in our division last year, when we were gathered in one event, all the school heads, secondary and elementary school heads, they told us that the current copy that was for during grade 9 and grade 3 should be the ones to be used, no longer the grade 7 and grade 1 CGs given to us way back during the first attempt. Oh, tama po ba?
Actually, thank you for your sharing. In learning, teaching and learning, there is no such thing as draft. Every teaching learning is permanent. There is no draft learning, draft teaching. Wala. These are only draft copies. But basically, these are already the final ones. The revision, the gaps could be addressed by the teachers who use these materials. Kayo na ang the best, even with the best specialists at the central office, they cannot tell us whether the materials are perfect or permanent. It depends upon the teacher who will implement that. Agree, disagree? Agree is the name of the game. We cannot, there should be no excuse in terms of curriculum implementation, provided the curriculum guide is the anchor of everything.
We have to correct on the 4th year of rollout of K-12, we have to correct the practice at the field through this initiative that we are doing just in time with our new CIDs created at the different divisions of the region.
Ano pa bang ato ni paggamitin mga teachers? Log sheet or lesson plan? It log sheet, nalaglag itun. O usang reference, iya indicate but ada available. Not necessarily writing the whole tasks. Basta may dala ni mo record nga, iti mo gingkuhan, iti mo activities, amo ni nga mga materials.
Yeah.
Not really, na a log sheet has many misconceptions and malpractices. Ending, nalaglag ya priya. So the learning is not founded on a lesson plan, because preparing a lesson plan is different from managing a lesson plan. Managing a lesson is different from writing a lesson plan. How to manage a lesson should be reflected in your daily lesson plan. It's not really a log sheet. Whatever we call it in the past, ayaw na kita ito nga log sheet. We want every teacher to write a lesson plan. Diri computerized nga lesson plan. Not a computerized lesson plan, because I have seen a computerized lesson plan. It's the same as the teaching guide. So why duplicate the same activity? A lesson plan is a listing of activities, sources of activities, not necessarily writing the whole activities, but there is preparation, presentation, lesson proper, generalization, assimilation, and application and or evaluation. The 5 parts of the lesson should be there in managing a lesson. Diri kay masin lang nga refer to teaching guide page ganito because we aren't sure whether all the activities will be taken care of or whether the activities were taken from another source. It depends upon how the teacher will manage the lesson. Okay? Sige. Thank you.
As an administrator or as administrators, you should know the eight key features of the K to 12 curriculum. Who can give me one major feature of the K to 12 which makes this curriculum very different from the traditional curriculum that we had before the implementation of this program? Anyone from the administrators? Yes, sir? Spiral progression, that is one unique characteristic of the K to 12. Another one, 21st century scale. Second, very good, excellent. Another, differentiated instructions or DI. Fourth, contextualization and localization. Number 5, very important, one major feature of the K to 12 is on the students and performance-based, or we call it learner-centeredness, correct? Another one, to anchor K to 12 to the 21st century, there is one important word that we have to remember, and that is what? Integration, okay, is another keyword for K to 12. And the last, for teachers to become agent of change in this program, teachers should adhere to what is known as constructivism. So teachers should be constructivists in the K to 12 curriculum. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the most important features of the K to 12 curriculum. Okay, so there you are, ladies and gentlemen. These are the key features embedded in all the curriculum documents of the K to 12 curriculum. All these key features have been, considered by the Department of Education, specifically to, answer the government thrusts, which you see on the first column. So you have there GAD, gender and development, climate change, peace education, adolescent reproductive health or ARH, road safety, disaster risk reduction management, and anti-bullying act. Among the curriculum framework, conceptual framework, curriculum guide, learner's material, and teacher's guide. Ladies and gentlemen, my partner, Mrs. Olsame, will discuss with you later the conceptual framework for English and Filipino, so there is no duplication of talk. So now I would like all of you to walk through with me for as I unpack with you the curriculum guide, learner's material, and the teacher's guide. So this is what DepEd envisions all of us. The K to 12 Philippine Basic Education Curriculum Framework. For English, specifically grade 10. So for English grade 10, a teacher has to have the following materials: CG, LM, and TG. The curriculum guide or TG contains the content standards and the performance standards. Ladies and gentlemen, these two standards are non-negotiable. Teachers should follow this one into the curriculum guide. And the content standards and performance standards should have the learning competencies, okay, the objectives that the teachers should use in her lesson, in his or her lesson. On the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, the learner's material, teacher's guide, have the following: the introduction, objectives, and the 4 phases of learning, which I will be elucidating as I progress with my discussion. And all these should be assessed at the end of the quarter or module. So assessment, plays a very important role in the K-12 program. But as Yusek Ocampo has been, emphasizing in her talk on assessment, teachers should be guided on the 2 kinds of classroom assessments: the formative assessment and the summative assessment. And I guess as administrators, you have to remind your teachers once again that not all assessments should be both rated and recorded. So as siya ito, dapat K-12 kasi hiya, student-friendly. Nagwa-wonder ako kaya ano damo lagapit na uhulog at the end of the school year. So meaning, diri ko dito na-emphasize sa eskwelahan, especially mga principals, mga department heads, kung ano ka-importante ang summative test. A formative test is an ongoing assessment, hit lesson, everyday lesson. So that the teacher will know if the student is learning or not. Amo ito dapat ang gamit. Anyway, sige na lang, kaya tapos naman. Nasinala ko, idoy may plan of Dios sa iyo, pabaling ala ito. Okay? Now, take note that phase 4 has culminating and enabling activities. Why? It is what? Anchored. Phase 4 should be anchored on performance standard. Kaya aadto na ang mga performances of the students which should be rated and recorded by the teacher this time. So therefore, if the teacher is only in phase 3, the teacher should not record the outputs of the students. The teacher should only what? Record. Okay. For what? Assessment purposes. If the teachers will follow all these things, the end product is a holistic Filipino learner or child. Walay mahuhulog. May naman na teacher na na-enjoy panuhulogin bata. Of course, except kung wala na talaga rinidyo ang bata, wala magsinunod. Siguro, amo na with major reason kaya nahuhulogon niya. Okay. The learning standards are what? Are contained, for each subject area, there is a program standard. Then, for each grade level, there is also a grade level standard, and each quarter has a content and performance standard.
Excuse me, is this your new learning? No. Relearning? Relearning. How many of you say that it is a new learning to you? New. Relearning. Now, before I forget, in your division, call for a seminar like this and call the head teachers, especially in the secondary, and also your principals elementary, call them and review with them these ones. That is your action plan after this.
Actually, we have a lot of trainers here from the different grade levels in the past.
So actually, we were expecting principals who have not yet been trained. But since you are already here, we are also lucky to have you here so that we'll have a better cascading activity in the division because you have already this prior knowledge. Many of them, ma'am, are here who were trainers in grade 7, 8, and 9.
I will just propose
Okay.
to the superintendent to have an immediate review of this.
Okay, so let's now discuss the differences between content standard and performance standards. So the content standard answers the questions, what should students know? This involves what? Knowledge and do skills. This also covers a specified scope of sequential topics within each learning strand, domain, or theme. Like, for example, in English, one of the domains that we would like to develop among our students is reading comprehension. This should be what? This should be strengthened by the English teacher. Another is content standard shares the most important and enduring ideas, issues, principles, skills, and habits of mind. And finally, the content standard expresses the desired results. That is why I was saying earlier that the content standard is non-negotiable. On the other hand, performance standard answers the question, how well must students do their work? It presents product or performance as evidence of learning or attainment of content standard. It adds value to what students learn. Okay? Why? In the end, students should what? Students should have developed sense of ownership. Like in every quarter at Lady National High School, we started coming up with a culminating activity at the end of every quarter. And each subject area showcases the different performances, outputs of the students in a designated area. And this is one, best practice that Lady National High School has been doing like for 2 years now. Why? Students, once they show their outputs, they start developing a sense of ownership. Students start to value their own work, and students will treasure their lessons. Kung nakikita nila, they feel proud about seeing their works on display. And that's one thing the teachers should do. Like in my class, I always include a display area in my classroom. So all achievements, tasks of the students are placed in one area. It demonstrates conceptual understanding of content and skill acquisition. It represents real life, authentic tasks, encompasses the standard. These are the learning standards for English. So the nouns in the content standards indicate the learning episodes, the lesson, topics, and lessons the students must be able to understand. While the verbs, the nouns or verbs in the performance standards are the products and performances the students must be able to do and produce in relation to the content standard. While the adjectives and adverbs in the performance standard determine the assessment criteria or components from which the rubric must be crafted. Okay, so rubrics making are very essential in the K-12 curriculum. Ito mga, we rate our students, especially this group activity, we rate our students based from a specific criterion. Because ang magsugod ini 95. Agree? Ang mag-route ang batasan, hindi na inihira. So, rubrics will help solve favoritism, biases in the classroom. The different codes work for the teacher and the head teacher will monitor or the principal.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, ma'am. Okay, let's now proceed to the parts of the learner's materials. Earlier, I was talking about the 4 phases of learning in the learner's material. So these are now, a more comprehensive discussion about the phases. Okay, so at the core is the learner's material. So as what I've said earlier also, closing or the sharing of insights which will enable learners to express their insights, learnings, and realizations in the lesson. This part contains prompts and other graphic organizers that will help learners synthesize what they have learned. Earlier, I also told you that, to make the lesson more effective so that the lesson will transcend into the hearts of the students, they should be given, enough time to value their work, okay? And teachers should develop, their students to, how do you call this? Internalize, treasure their works. Okay, so this is how the learner's material is crafted. Learning competencies address the macro skills and multi-intelligences. And of course, when we speak about English, we do not only teach this time the 4 macro skills, the listening, reading, writing and speaking, but we also include viewing, vocabulary, and grammar, and even integration. As part of the macro skills in English. Preparation of activities is from simple to complex. This is what K-12 is all about. It's essential before you start with Module 1, 2, 3, and 4. Resources and materials, sets of instructions, processing questions, alternative activities, alternative readings, and connection between one activity to the next. So again, these are what? Negotiables. Teacher may, extend this lesson or not. A lesson may last like 5 days. One lesson will last 5 days to 7 days, depending on the kind of learners that he has. And of course, the purpose of the activity. Okay, the teacher's guide also includes the components of the teaching guide, overview activities, resources, and assessment plan. Okay, it describes what the students are supposed to learn in the module, which is contained in the introduction. The activities are presented as instructions to teachers, what teachers should do in the classroom. The activities are processed through questions. The purpose of the activities is presented. Alternate activities are provided. Resources detail the bibliography where the text, photos, and others are listed. And the alternative activities are even found in the curriculum guide. Tama, Atishon, di ba? It's found in the curriculum guide. So teachers should, read the curriculum guide for them to see some alternative activities provided in the CG. Resources, detailed and bibliography where the text, photos, and others are listed. Resources provided provide other resources and useful links. So, if the school has an internet connection, the teacher has to make use of the links. Meron dito mga videos as an how you call this? Enhancement of the lesson. Assessment plan articulates Decade Order number 8, Series 2015. Okay, these are some points of clarifications on the usage of the learning package. The learning package is non-consumable. Okay? On the tasks and activities, found in the LMs are highly modifiable. Okay, but no deviation from CG. Why? CG is non-negotiable. Activities, negotiable here. Okay? And I also would like to inform you to please tell your teachers to what? Look for some activities which have been differentiated. Mayroon kasi ito mga differentiated instructions na mga activities. But please encourage your teachers to look for other activities that can still be differentiated. Mayroon kasi dito, when we conducted the mass training for trainers in Ecotech Cebu, we found out that there are still a lot of activities for students, for teachers, to be differentiated. Okay, so kinanglan magbasa ko ng teacher. Please encourage the teachers to read para makag-modify pa iya mga activities. Consider contextualization, localization, and differentiated instruction. Localize, we maximize materials that are locally available in our school, in our community. When we speak of contextualization, a teacher should use authentic materials or activities, interests, issues, and needs from the learners' lives.
Ibong kakayahan. Samantala sa pag-unawa, binibigyan pansin ang mga teorya na nagbibigay ng iba't ibang mga impormasyon at integrasyon ng pagpapahalaga. Mga teoryang ginagamit sa wika, mga teorya sa pagkatuto ng wika, at mga teoryang pagsusuring literary. Sa pamantayan naman, yung standard para sa grade 7 to 10 na ipamamalas ng mag-aaral ang kakayahang komunikatibo. Pamantayan sa baitang 7, kung saan nandyan pa rin yung communicative skills o yung kakayahang komunikatibo na dapat talagang maibigay sa mga mag-aaral para sa sekundarya. Ang pag-unawa at pagpapahalagang pampanitikan, kasi kanina sinasabi, nandyan yung literary appreciation ng iba't ibang mga antas sa regional, nasyonal, asyano at pandaigdig. So yung grade 7, katulad ng sinabi ko, ay regional literature. Grade 8, panitikang pambansa. So yung dito sa program standard ng grade 8, laging nakaangkla yung tinatawag nating essential question. Sabi, na ipamamalas ng mag-aaral ang kakayahang komunikatibo at pag-unawa at pagpapahalagang pampanitikan gamit ang teknolohiya at mga akdang pampanitikang pambansa. Bakit? Upang may pagmalaki ang kulturang Pilipino. Yan ang tinatawag na essential question. Yung okay, para ma-appreciate nila yung kultura ng mga Pilipino o ang panitikang Pilipino. Sa grade 9, kung mapapansin mapapansin ninyo, nandyan pa rin ang kakayahang komunikatibo at pag-unawa sa pagpapahalagang pampanitikan sa iba't ibang akdang Asyano. Grade 10, nandyan pa rin, akdang pandaigdig tungo sa pagkakaroon ng kalakalayang global awareness. Itong learning domains, katulad ng sinabi ni Sir Iranjo kanina, mayroong tinatawag na oral language. Sa Filipino, yan ang tinatawag na pagsasalita. Yan ang learning domain from grade 7 to 10. Kakayahang kumilala ng mga phonolohiya o phonological skills, kaalaman sa aklat at nakalimbag na babasahin, book and print knowledge, kaalaman sa mga alphabet knowledge, pagkilala sa mga tunog at salita, phonics, katatasan o fluency, pagbabaybay ay kasama sa learning domains, writing composition ay kasama sa learning domains, handwriting, grammar awareness and structure, vocabulary, at pag-unawa sa binasa at estratehiya o reading comprehension or study strategies. So doon sa curriculum guide, makikita doon yung mga learning domains na ito kung saan binibigyan lang siya ng acro. Yung PN ay ibig sabihin pag-unawa sa napakinggan. So, pinakita kanina ni Sir Obet yung code kung paano makikilala na ang kanyang tinatalakay ng guro ay nasa pag-unawa sa napakinggan. Kasi nakalagay doon PN. Pag-unawa sa binasa, PB lang ang nakasulat. Paglinang sa talasalitaan ay PG, panunood ay PD, pagsasalita ay PS, pagsulat ay PU, WG naman kung wika at gramatika ang tinatalakay, EP o estratehiya sa pag-aaral. Makikita ninyo yan mamaya pag ipinakita ko ang halimbawa ng curriculum guide sa Filipino. Kasama sa talakay na ito ang antas ng pagtataya. Ano ba yung pagtataya? Pagtaya inihiton loto. So, pagtataya means assessment. Okay. So, ang assessment ay may kanya-kanyang bahagdan na binibigay. Una, sa pagtataya, una sa tinataya ay ang kaalaman o knowledge, kung saan mayroon itong 15 bahagdan. Dito tatasahin ang dati ng kaalaman ng mga mag-aaral sa impormasyon at kahulugan na sakop ng lilinangin na kasanayang pangpagkatuto o learning competency. Samantala, ang proseso o kakayahan ay binibigyan ng 25 bahagdan. Dito tinatasa ang kakayahan ng mga mag-aaral na malipat ang impormasyon sa iba't ibang forma at kakayahan niyang magproseso ng mga impormasyon na sakop ng lilinanging competency o kakayahan. Disenyo o design ng lesson plan sa Filipino. So dito sa learner's material, makikita ang disenyo ng lesson plan. Na una ay nakasulat ang panimula. Mayroon panimula na malaking titik, lahat ang nakasulat. Meaning, ang panimula na yan ay description sa kabuuan ng module. So, ang module, meaning, sa isang school year, may 4 na module. Ang module 1 ay tinatawag na first quarter. Okay. So, doon sa disenyo ng pagplaplano para sa pagkatuto, mayroon nakasulat doon na panimula na nakasulat sa malaking titik. So, yan ang nakapaloob dyan ay ang description ng kabuang module, ang pamantayang pamilalaman at pagganap para sa buong module, maging ang mga pamantayan kung paano ito tatayain o mamarkahan. Kasama dyan sa panimula na yan, ang focus na tanong o essential question para sa kabuang module. So pag nakita ninyo yan sa learner's material, yung malaking titik basic na panimula, lahat yan ay tumatalakay tungkol sa kabuuan ng quarter. Sa first quarter, may nakalagay dyan na panimulang pagtataya o pre-assessment para sa buong module, for first quarter module. Okay. Yugto ng pagkatuto. Okay. Isa sa mga bahagi. Ano ba yung yugto ng pagkatuto? Learning. Okay. Ito na yung learning process. Learning process. Yugto ng pagkatuto. So yan, sa yugto ng pagkatuto o learning process, mayroon na naman kayong makikita na malaking titik ng tuklasin, na ibig sabihin ng tuklasin ay sa English explore. Okay. Sa malaking titik na kung tuklasin, nakasulat dyan kung ano ang tutuklasin sa buong module. So dyan, ang mga gawain upang suklasin ang dating alam ng mga mag-aaral sa nilalaman ng module o activity prior knowledge. Another na bahagi ng tuklasin ay mga gawain para sa pagbibigay hinuha sa iba't ibang mga ay sa focus na tanong o essential question. At magkakita kayo ng tuklasin, linangin na malaking titik, yan ay tumatalakay tungkol sa kabuuan ng module for the first quarter. Process ng pagkatuto o proseso ng pagkatuto na tinatawag natin ngayon, yugto ng pagkatuto. So kanina binanggit ko sa inyo na mayroon malaking titik na tuklasin, linangin. Ngayon, sa yugto ng pagkatuto ito, makikita na naman natin yung tuklasin, pero nasa maliliit na titik na siya. Na ang ibig sabihin ng, sa process of learning, mayroon ng tuklasin, linangin, pagyamanin, pagnilayan at unawain at saka ilipat. Ano ito sa English? Explore, yung development of skills, pagnilayan o unawain, ito na yung deepen, at ilipat means to transfer. Transfer the knowledge. Yung kanina tuklasin na maliit na titik, panimulang gawain pagtataya o pagtataya. Gawain kung paano itatanong ang focus na tanong at makuha ang mga hinuha o maaaring sagot ng mag-aaral sa focus na tanong. Yun yung tuklasin. So itinatanong sa unang tuklasin ang gawain tungkol sa essential question. Linangin naman para sa aralin, panimula tungkol sa uri ng akdang babasahin, tungkol sa may akda o sa bansang pinagmulan ng akda. Bahagi pa rin ng linangin ang pagbasa, pakikinig, panunood tungkol sa politikan na tinatalakay, ang paglinan ng talasalitaan na ginamit doon sa akda, at ang mga tanong, mga gawain tungkol sa literature o politikan. Bahagi pa rin ng linangin or development of the skills, pagbasa ng lunsaran. Ano yun yung lunsaran? Springboard. Pagbasa ng lunsaran, uri ng teksto, kung ito ay pasalaysay, kung ito ay naglalahad, ito ba ay naglalarawan o ito ay nangangatwiran. Then, bahagi pa rin ng linangin ang pagsasanib ng gramatika at retorika, pagnilayan at unawain para sa aralin. Para pa rin sa aralin kasi maliliit na titik. Dito, makikita ang mga gawain kung saan susukat ito kung naunawaan ng mga mag-aaral ang mahalagang konsepto na nakapaloob sa aralin. Dito sa pagta-transfer o paglilipat, inaasahan na yung produkto ay nangangahulugan ng at pangwakas na pagtataya o summative assessment. Pangwakas na pagtataya para sa buong module.
May star behind that represents our students. A student will shine later on upon developing the critical thinking skill and the problem-solving skill. What do we mean by critical thinking? It is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, communication as a guide to belief and action. So, teaching the student to become a critical thinker is not in an instant moment. It has to undergo a process. Sa anong mga proseso, napakarami pong mga pagdadaanan in order for the child to become a critical thinker. Another goal is problem solving. This is finding a way around a difficulty, around an obstacle, and finding a solution to a problem that is unknown. Kaya nga, meron tinatawag na essential question and essential understanding, wherein that essential question will be answered, will be addressed kung na-acquire na ang understanding. And it is very much needed in mathematics learning. Now, there are underlying principles and theories behind the mathematics teaching. We have the discovery and inquiry-based learning. Now, in here, it allows learner to learn by asking relevant questions and discovering new ideas. So that is why one of the C's being emphasized in the K-12 program is communication. So dapat malaman o matutunan ng bata how to communicate, because from there on, nalalaman natin ang kanyang saloobin, what is his or her idea, and what is he or she is feeling. Making use of their personal experiences to discover facts, relationships, and concepts. We also have experiential and situated learning. It allows learners to learn by letting them make sense of their direct everyday experience, engaging them in transforming experience, placing them in the same context on which concepts and theories are applied. So we should be careful in the delivery of our lesson, because there could be a point wherein the student would ask, "Ma'am, why are you teaching us trigonometry? What's the use of sine function in making a living? Gagamiton ko ba ito pag tricycle? Can I earn much out from that cosine function?" So ikaw na teacher should know behind as to how you could address that question, making sense of the lesson. That is why if we are just keen enough to see and look into the details of the K-12 program, curriculum, makikita natin na more on real life ang dating ng bawat lesson that is being delivered. We don't just stop the lesson within the four walls of our classrooms. And another way of making sense is ito, placing them in the same context on which concepts and theories are applied. Dito papasok ang contextualization and localization. The terms are, these two terms are different from each other. Example po, in Caligara, we have these delicacies, may pastillas, cookies, roscas. If your discussion, say an experiment in science, trying to find out if the food is containing carbohydrates. So using such, localization yon, pag ang ginamit mong material are those that are found in the locality. Yes. Much so, magiging contextualization here if it will be used to get, to make the abstract idea so clear. So, pag ginamit mo na yung resource na yun, yung product na yun, say, torta, pag ginamit mo niya in the experimentation, then that's what is contextualization is.
Okay. Why torta? Kaya karigara at yun na torta.
Yes, opo.
Pwede kami, pwede muron. Or binagol.
Sa mathematics, we have lots of technical terms. Say, pyramid. We don't have pyramid in the Philippines, neither in Carigara. But can we apply localization and contextualization in the discussion of pyramid? What do you think so? We can apply. Yes. Yes. Oo. In what way?
Even the roof of some houses, wala naman yung pyramid.
Opo. In what way? As simple as making a model of what a pyramid looks like. Gumamit ka ng use folder. That's localization. Because folder can be seen in the community where your school is. E paano siya magiging contextualization? Nagawa mo na siya as model, like a pyramid. Then, if you use it to clarify abstract ideas, then that becomes contextualization.
Kasi in the teaching of math, mga old principles are concrete. Mga concrete mo na nga materials. Then use semi-concrete. Then semi-abstract. Before you go to abstract. So ipasok mo na yan.
Okay, another theory, the cooperative learning. Another C in the K-12 curriculum, kailangan matuto ang bata to share ideas, to communicate with classmates in order to form a good foundation. It allows learner to learn by actively working with fellow learners as they all engage in a shared task. You can pair, you can group your class according to their learning styles. What are these learning styles? Visible in our classrooms, tatlo. The auditory learners, the visual learners, and the tactile learners. So dapat i-grupo mo sila para magkaroon ka ng magandang pundasyon for them to learn. Another is reflective learning. It allows learners to learn by thinking about, processing, making sense of, giving meaning to their experience. So one assessment tool that we can use is by journal making. Allow the students to write what he or she feels about the lesson. For example, meron kang group activity. I-follow up mo by letting the student write on the journal about his feelings or her feelings with regards to the activity. Then we have the constructivism. Allows learners to learn by drawing ideas from their own experience, connecting ideas from experiences to new ideas that are encountered. So we have these principles and theories behind in order for us to develop the child to become a problem solver and critical thinker. How to achieve the twin goals? For sure, dapat nandyan yung content. In the secondary mathematics, the junior high mathematics, itong limang ito, nagpapalibot-libot lang. Kaya tinawag siyang spiral. So at early grade 7, or I think at early grade, kinder, meron siyang a little idea on what geometry is, on what measurement is, and what probability is. Say for example, sa grade 7 to 10, ang content dito is, are numbers and number sense. Uulit yan hanggang grade 8, hanggang grade 9, and 10. Also measurement, geometry, patterns and algebra, probability, and statistics. Sa elementary, meron din ganito. Pero, the concept is quite simple. For statistics, it's just a matter of gathering data, collection of data. For patterns, tinuturo yan, and algebra. Now, in the elementary, I guess, the algebra is being focused on patterns, not the X and Y yet. Another is, to achieve the twin goal, itong skills and processes, dapat ituro natin sa kanila kung paano, knowing and understanding, estimating, computing, and solving, visualizing and modeling, representing and communicating, conjecturing, reasoning, proving, and decision-making, applying, and connecting. Mahirap kayang ituro sa bata paano mag-isip. Diba? That is why it says in there, it is a process. Hindi yan mangyayari, sasabihin mo one day, uy, mag-isip ka na. What's the answer to this problem? You cannot do that unless there could be a good foundation from the very start, from the kindergarten. Saka mo masasabing full grasp and understanding na achieve natin yung twin goals na to. Mathematical tools. As 21st century teachers, for the school heads, your teachers must be or must have manipulative objects. Kung one of your teachers is still fond of notes taking, copying from what is written on the board, saway-sawayan na magkanan piso. Measuring devices. Dapat matuto na silang gumamit ng mga tools. In mathematics, say, how to use a compass, how to use a protractor. Yung mga basic in math na mga tools. Calculators and computers. Maraming nagsasabi it's not good to be using calculators. But mind you, we are now living in a modern world. Lahat na dipindot. If you deprive the student to use such mga dipindot, then na-move daw kita ito backwards. And computers. Smartphones and tablet PCs. So lucky are those schools na merong smart TV. I guess sa alang-alang, if I'm not mistaken, meron silang smart TV wherein the teacher could just have make it on the screen. Like what we have in our own tablets. Na ano siya? Android. Internet. Now, it's given na meron ng internet at this time. Ayaw kita pag siniring, ayaw ito. Aanda kita as teachers to guide. Let us not deprive them to use Facebook because that is now the trend. Facebooking. Pero, nandyan ka to guide the proper way of using ito na mga Facebook, Twitter, damo yan na ito na bubuli, cyber, bullying. There are two features found in the CG, the conceptual framework and the learning standard. By the way, ang latest na copy of the teacher's guide, nandun na po ma'am yung CG. Yes, opo. Unlike before, naka-clipping siya. Ngayon, naka-incorporate na sa PG. So, ang napag-usapan natin kanina, that was about the conceptual framework of mathematics. Na-discuss natin to. Then the learning standards, we have the learning area standard, the key stage standards, and the grade level standards. Then coding, kanina, mag-iiba-iba lang sa making use of the first two letters. Kanina English, so E-N. For mathematics, may iba't ibang discipline, say algebra, geometry. So ma-differ na lang. For algebra, it's AL. For geometry, it's GE, etc.
Copy naman ang nanigay ko
So kanina ito, a sample book legend. And meaning it's mathematics. 9 kasi grade 9 na math. Then AL because the content is algebra. Then you have it there. Anong mga meaning? First quarter. Then the Arabic number, that's the competency number in the CG. May star behind that represents our students. A student will shine later on upon developing the critical thinking skill and the problem-solving skill. What do we mean by critical thinking? It is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, communication as a guide to belief and action. So, teaching the student to become a critical thinker is not in an instant moment. It has to undergo a process. Sa anong mga proseso, napakarami pong mga pagdadaanan in order for the child to become a critical thinker. Another goal is problem solving. This is finding a way around a difficulty, around an obstacle, and finding a solution to a problem that is unknown. Kaya nga, meron tinatawag na essential question and essential understanding. Wherein, that essential question will be answered, will be addressed kung na-acquire na ang understanding. And it is very much needed in mathematics learning. Now, there are underlying principles and theories behind the mathematics teaching. We have the discovery and inquiry-based learning. Now, in here, it allows learner to learn by asking relevant questions and discovering new ideas. So that is why one of the C's being emphasized in the K-12 program is communication. So dapat malaman o matutunan ng bata how to communicate, because from there on, nalalaman natin ang kanyang saloobin, what is his or her idea, and what is he or she is feeling. Making use of their personal experiences to discover facts, relationships, and concepts. We also have experiential and situated learning. It allows learners to learn by letting them make sense of their direct everyday experience, engaging them in transforming experience, placing them in the same context on which concepts and theories are applied. So we should be careful in the delivery of our lesson, because there could be a point wherein the student would ask, "Ma'am, why are you teaching us trigonometry? What's the use of sine function in making a living? Gagamiton ko ba ito pag-tricycle? Can I earn much out from that cosine function?" So ikaw na teacher should know behind as to how you could address that question, making sense of the lesson. That is why, if we are just keen enough to see and look into the details of the K-12 program, curriculum, makikita natin na more on real life ang dating ng bawat lesson that is being delivered. We don't just stop the lesson within the four walls of our classrooms. And another way of making sense is ito, placing them in the same context on which concepts and theories are applied. Dito papasok ang contextualization and localization. The terms these two terms are different from each other. Example po, In Carigara, we have these delicacies, may pastillas, cookies, roscas. If your discussion, say an experiment in science, trying to find out if the food is containing carbohydrates. So using such, localization yon, pag ang ginamit mong material are those that are found in the locality. Yes. Much so, magiging contextualization here if it will be used to get, to make the abstract idea so clear. So, pag ginamit mo na yung resource na yun, yung product na yun, say, torta, pag ginamit mo niya in the experimentation, then that's what is contextualization is.
Okay. Why torta? Kaya karigara at yun yung torta.
Yes, opo.
Pwede kami, pwede muron, or binagol.
Mathematics, we have lots of technical terms. Say, pyramid. We don't have pyramid in the Philippines, neither in Carigara. But can we apply localization and contextualization in the discussion of pyramid? What do you think so?
Mga balay.
We can apply. Yes. Yes. Oo. In what way?
Minsan even the roof of some houses, wala naman yung pyramid at kumanuran.
Opo. In what way? As simple as making a model of what a pyramid looks like. Gumamit ka ng use folder. That's localization. Because folder can be seen in the community where your school is. E paano siya magiging contextualization? Nagawa mo na siya as model, like a pyramid. Then, if you use it to clarify abstract ideas, then that becomes contextualization.
Kasi in the teaching of math, mga old principles are concrete. Mga concrete mo ng materials. Then use semi-concrete. Then semi-abstract. Before you go to abstract. So, ipasok mo na yan.
Okay, another theory, the cooperative learning. Another C in the K-12 curriculum, kailangan matuto ang bata to share ideas, to communicate with classmates in order to form a good foundation. It allows learner to learn by actively working with fellow learners as they all engage in a shared task. You can pair, you can group your class according to their learning styles. What are these learning styles? Visible in our classrooms, tatlo. The auditory learners, the visual learners, and the tactile learners. So dapat i-grupo mo sila para magkaroon ka ng magandang pundasyon for them to learn. Another is reflective learning. It allows learners to learn by thinking about, processing, making sense of, giving meaning to their experience. So one assessment tool that we can use is by journal making. Allow the students to write what he or she feels about the lesson. For example, meron kang group activity. I-follow up mo by letting the student write on the journal about his feelings or her feelings with regards to the activity. Then we have the constructive design. Allows learners to learn by drawing ideas from their own experience, connecting ideas from experiences to new ideas that are encountered. So we have these principles and theories behind in order for us to develop the child to become a problem solver and critical thinker. How to achieve the twin goals? For sure, dapat nandyan yung content. In the secondary mathematics, the junior high mathematics, itong limang ito, nagpapalibot-libot lang. Kaya tinawag siyang spiral. So at early grade 7, or I think at early grade, kinder, meron siyang a little idea on what geometry is, on what measurement is, and what probability is. Say for example, sa grade 7 to 10, ang content dito is, are numbers and number sense. Uulit yan hanggang grade 8, hanggang grade 9, and 10. Also measurement, geometry, patterns and algebra, probability, and statistics. Sa elementary, meron din ganito. Pero, the concept is quite simple. I guess for the statistics, it's just a matter of gathering data, collection of data. For patterns, tinuturo yan, and algebra. Now, in the elementary, I guess, the algebra is being focused on patterns, not the X and Y yet. Another is, to achieve the twin goal, itong skills and processes, dapat ituro natin sa kanila kung paano, knowing and understanding, estimating, computing, and solving, visualizing and modeling, representing and communicating, conjecturing, reasoning, proving, and decision-making, applying, and connecting. Mahirap kayang ituro sa bata paano mag-isip. Diba? That is why it says in there, it is a process. Hindi yan mangyayari, sasabihin mo one day, uy, mag-isip ka na. What's the answer to this problem? You cannot do that unless there could be a good foundation from the very start, from the kindergarten. Saka mo masasabing full gross ang understanding na achieve natin yung twin goals na to. Mathematical tools. As 21st century teachers, for the school heads, your teachers must be or must have manipulative objects. Kung one of your teachers is still fond of notes taking, copying from what is written on the board, saway-sawayan na magkanan piso. Measuring devices. Dapat matuto na silang gumamit ng mga tools. In mathematics, say, how to use a compass, how to use a protractor. Yung mga basic in math na mga tools. Calculators and computers. Maraming nagsasabi it's not good to be using calculators. But mind you, we are now living in a modern world. Lahat na dipindot. If you deprive the student to use such mga dipindot, then na-move daw kita ito backwards. And computers. smartphones and tablet PCs. So lucky are those schools na merong smart TV. I guess sa alang-alang, if I'm not mistaken, meron silang smart TV wherein the teacher could just have make it talk on the screen. Like what we have in our own tablets. Na ano siya? Android. Internet. Now, it's given na meron ng internet at this time. Ayaw kita pag siniring ayaw ito. Aada kita as teachers to guide. Let us not deprive them to use Facebook because that is now the trend. Facebooking. Pero, nandyan ka to guide the proper way of using ito na mga Facebook, Twitter, damo yan na ito nabubully, cyber bullying. There are two features found in the CG, the conceptual framework and the learning standard. By the way, ang latest na copy of the teacher's guide, nandun na po ma'am yung CG. Yes, opo. Unlike before, naka-clipping siya. Ngayon, naka-incorporate na sa PG. So, ang napag-usapan natin kanina, that was about the conceptual framework of mathematics. Na-discuss natin to. Then the learning standards, we have the learning area standard, the key stage standards, and the grade level standards. The coding, kanina, mag-iiba-iba lang sa making use of the first two letters. Kanina English, so E-N. For mathematics, may iba't ibang discipline, say algebra, geometry. So, ma-differ na lang. For algebra, it's AL. For geometry, it's GE, etc. So, kanina ito. A sample book legend. M, meaning it's mathematics. 9 kasi, grade 9 na math. Then AL, because the content is algebra. Then you have in there, anong mga meaning? First quarter. Then the Arabic number, that's the competency number in the CG.
Here, the K-12 materials utilization in Latin, music, arts, PE, and topics to be discussed. You have the conceptual framework, music and art, PE and health, then curriculum guide, the flow of the utilization of materials, sample lesson plan based on CG, TG, and LM, and then we have the rubric, and this is just an overview of the grading system. Here, the conceptual framework on music and art education. The conceptual framework of physical education.
geared towards higher education, middle-level manpower, entrepreneurship, and employment. The K-12 curriculum has its overarching goal, the holistic development of every Filipino learner with 21st century skills who is adequately prepared for work, entrepreneurship, middle-level skills development, and higher education. The overarching goal of the K-12 curriculum tells us that teaching TLE plays a very important role in the realization of the overall goal of the curriculum. Whether or not the K-12 graduate is skilled and ready for work, entrepreneurship and middle skill development depend to the great extent on how effectively TLE will be taught. A new feature of teaching K-12 TLE, the TLE courses are taught based on the learning outcomes and performance criteria stated on the training regulation through a Technical Education Skill Development Authority, which are TR-based. To prepare the K-12 graduate for lucrative work, he or she must earn a national certificate, NC1 or 2, or even NC of a higher level that is required by the industries. This, he or she earns after passing an assessment given by testing. The agri-fishery arts, we have 5. Food, processing, aquaculture, crop production, animal production, and horticulture. Home economics, we also have bread and pastry production, commercial cooking, dressmaking, caregiving, household services, and meal care. Industrial arts, we have electronics, automotive, carpentry, electrical installation and maintenance, masonry, mechanical drafting, RAC, SMAU, or the sheet metal artwork, and tile setting. For ICT, we have computer hardware servicing, computer programming, contact service center, and technical drafting. Each of these courses will be focused on the following competency. On first, use of hand tools or use of tools and equipments. We have perform calculation and mensuration. Then maintaining of tools and equipment. Prepare for or interpret technical drawings. Then practical occupational health and safety.
Pumalas niya ng mag-aral ang pag-unawa sa mga konsepto sa pananagutang pansarili, pagkatao ng tao, pamilya at pagkikipagkapwa, lipunan, paggawa at mga pagpapahalagang moral at nagpapasya at kumikilos ng mapanagutan tungo sa kabutihang balat upang mamuhay ng may kaayusan at kaligayahan. So from first year of grade 7 until grade 10, ito yung inaasahang mahuhubog sa mga bata para pag labas niya, mabubuo sa kanya ang isang pagkataong may kakayahan na siyang tumayo sa kanyang sarili at makiugnay. Mamuhay, makiugnay sa kanyang lipunan. Ito yung sa curriculum. Pare-parehas actually sa ibang mga asignatura. Wala itong pinagkaiba. Yung content lang po yung naiba. So I have to elaborate more on this. So, sa grade 7, ano po tayo sa grade 7? Doon sa mga kakayahan. Then sa grade 8, doon tayo sa pamilya, nakapokus. Sa grade 9, sa pangkabuhayan na po yun. At sa grade 10, doon na po yun sa moral na panantayang moral. So, sa values education, we have only 2 hours allotted in a week. So, yung 2 hours na po yun, hindi po natin mauubos, matalakay, ang isang objective lamang. That is why, pwede natin mahati-hati po yun. Kaya minsan, yung isang module, umaabot po tayo ng 2 to 3 weeks para matapos yun. So the teacher, pwede siyang gumawa, hati-hatiin niya yung kanyang objectives for 1 or 2 to 3 weeks na plano. Kasi kung kanyang ilalagay lahat ang kabuuan ng objectives, nahirapan siya matapos yun. Mangyayari, magmamadali yung teacher, hindi niya mai-deliver yung kanyang lesson. Kasi nag-habol siya sa oras. So, kailangan niyang tingnan kung hanggang saan ang level ng kanyang mga mag-aaral. That is why, so first, nagagawin ng teacher, magpe-pretest muna siya. To determine kung ano yung level ng learning ng mga bata. So, before, during our trainings, meron nagsabing sa head na, how can we measure? Kung nakaka-carry out ba ng head yung lesson. Kasi the first time na kanya pagbisita, nasa processing pa lang siya. Nang bumalik, nasa processing pa rin siya. Third time na bumalik, nasa processing pa rin yung teacher. Tinanong niya yung teacher, bakit hanggang dyan pa rin? Kasi hindi daw dapat tayo umalis doon hanggang hindi pa nakaka-carry out ng bata. Tama po ba yun? Pwede po ba yun? Hindi po. Meron kasi tayong pamantayan. Para madaling makuha ng bata ang iyong aralin. Palagi na lang andun ka sa process, ibig sabihin nun, the teacher doesn't know how to carry out the lesson. So, dati kasi yung mga nag-monitor na yun, hindi nila alam kung paano yung proseso, kaya madali siyang makuha ng teacher na yun lang talaga. So, umabot na yung natapos na yung first grading, processing pa lang siya sa isang lesson. So, mahirap po ganun. So, that is why, kailangan makita natin hanggang kailan niya makukuha yung lesson na yun. So, sa budget of lesson. So, sa first reading sa grade 10, ang focus ay nasa moral na pagkatao. So, dito, hahatiin niya yung lesson into 45 days. Dapat hanggang 45 days, tapos na siya. Ang hindi pa siya natapos doon, there is wrong with the process. So, dahil sa second ay ang pagkataong kilos. So dito, may papamala sa mag-aaral ang paglunawa sa mga konsepto tungkol sa pagkataong kilos upang makapagbasya ng may preferensya sa kabutihan sa gitna ng mga isyu moral at influensya ng kapaligiran. Then sa third grading, so ang ating yung tatandaan, nilinilang po sa 4 na tema ang bawat antas mula kindergarten hanggang grade 10 ang mga pangunahing kakayahan na ito. Kaya yung mga bata mula pa dapat sa grade 1 o kinder, inuumpisahan na po natin silang turuan. Kasi nagkakaroon kami ng problema sa secondary na i-connect yung mga bata kasi medyo wala pa doon yung idea ng bata sa simula. So upang may pamalas po ito, kailangan taglay ng bata yung 5 micro skills o yung 4 na micro skills. Pag-unawa, yung pagninilay, pagsangguni, pagpapasya, at pagkilos. So sa pag-unawa, mahalagang may pamalas niya ang kakayahang mahinuha ang mga konsepto at prinsipyong nagbibigay paliwanag sa sariling karanasan. Yung mga sitwasyong namasid niya, yung sinuri at pinanilayan gamit ang objektibong pamantayan ng moral na pamumuhay. Sa pagninilay, Sa gitna ng mabilis na daloy ng impormasyon, ang ingay ng kapaligiran, kailangan magtulong ng panahon ang mag-aaral sa maingat at malalim na pag-isip sa mga sitwasyon na obserbahan at mga konseptong natutuhan tungkol sa moral na pamumuhay. Sa pagsangguni, kailangan humingi siya ng payo o gabay sa mga taong may higit na kaalaman sa kasanayan sa moral na pamumuhay at marunong magsala ng mga impormasyon mula sa iba't ibang uri ng media batay sa obiktibong pamantayan ng moral na pamantayan. Sa pagpapasya, kailangan matuto siyang bumuo ng sariling posisyon, paniniwala, paninindigan o kilos na sinasagawa batay sa obiktibong pamantayan ng moral na pamumuhay.
So the science education in the K-12 curriculum is all where we provide learners a repertoire of competences. And what does it envision? Okay, it envisions the learners with scientific, technological, and environmental literacy. And the acquisition of these domains is facilitated using the following approaches. And what are the following approaches? So these are the following approaches. Multidisciplinary approach, science, technology, society approach. We have contextual learning, and of course, the inquiry-based approach. So these are the different pedagogy. You have constructivism, social cognition learning, learning style theory, and brain-based learning. So these are the different pedagogy. And as a whole, the K-12 science curriculum is learner-centered. It is learner-centered and inquiry-based, emphasizing the use of evidence of constructing explanation, explaining concepts and skills in life science. There are 4 areas. We have life science, earth science, physics, and chemistry. And these are presented in increasing levels of complexity from one grade level to another in spiral progression. And paving the way to deepen understanding of science concepts. All of these are found in the curriculum guide. So we have our curriculum guide for science. We have our teacher's guide for grade 7 and for grade 8. I have here 2 samples. And of course, the learner's materials for grade 7 and learner's materials for grade 8. It has core learning area standards for science in the entire K-12, from kindergarten to grade 12. So these are core learning area standards. So let us read the core area standards. It says, the learner demonstrates understanding of basic science concepts, applies science processes skills, and exhibits scientific attitudes and values to solve problems critically, innovate beneficial products, protect the environment, and conserve resources, enhance the integrity and wellness of people, and make informed and unbiased decisions about social issues and involve science and technology. So this understanding will lead the learners manifestation of respect for life and the environment, bearing in mind that Earth is our only home. So this holds true to all grade levels from kinder to grade 12. Saan yan mag-differ? Where will it differ? So it will differ in each of the grade level standards. And that is the content as well as the performance standards. Okay, so I have here a sample, just a sample. So I walk through from just in grade 8. So grade 8. So this is in the curriculum guide for grade 8. So these are the competences. So since science is composed of the areas, which is life science or biology, so that is living things and their environment in their module, in the learner's materials, living things and the environment. Then we have physics or force, energy, and motion. Then for chemistry, that is matter, and earth science, that is earth and space. Okay. So for grade 8, so just a sample of grade 8. So these are, okay, so learners have investigated. So in the first quarter of grade 8, the learners have investigated the effects of some factors on the motion of an object based on the laws of motion. In other words, in the first quarter of grade 8, they are taking up physics, okay, force, energy, and motion. And in the second quarter in grade 8, or the grade 8 students learn how learners can explain how active faults generate earthquakes. So in other words, earth science, earth and space. And for the third quarter, learners explain the behavior of matter in terms of particles it is made up of and are absorbed by the body. So in other words, matter, chemistry. And in the fourth quarter, the learners must recognize reproduction as a process of cell division. In other words, for living things and their environment, or biology. But we do not say biology anymore. We do not say physics, but we say force, motion, force and motion. Yan. So that is for grade 8. You will notice that for every grade level, for example, in grade 7, matter is taken up in the first quarter. While in grade 8, it is taken in the third quarter. So what is the purpose? Why it is being presented in different areas or subjects, so that we give the chance to have team teaching. Those who are major in biology will handle biology or living things and their environment. Okay, so team teaching. Yan. So that is in the curriculum guide. Curriculum guide yan. Okay? Oh, take a look at the teacher's. Oh, I am now walking through the teacher's guide for grade 7 as well as the learner's materials. Okay, so for 2 grade levels yung present ko. So you will have an idea of how topics are presented in the teacher's guide and in the learner's material from the curriculum guide. So for grade 7, in quarter 1, they are discussing or taking up diversity of materials in the environment. And there are 5 modules in quarter 1 for diversity of materials. So what will you find in the teacher's guide? Okay, so this is now our teacher's guide. So, diversity of materials in the environment. Of course, yeah. So, mayroon akong marker. So, in other words, in the teacher's guide, ayan, sa module 1 there is an overview. So overview for the module, for module 1. And also, yes, after the overview, there is the key question. The key question in each of the module. So for module 1, so since there are 5 modules, module 1 to 5, there are key questions that are found. Okay, so in the teacher's guide, yan, dito. Yan. So we have here the activities for the teacher's guide. So for module 1, solution. So the activities are here. But what is the difference between that of the learner's manual and that of the teacher's guide? So in the teacher's guide, there are answers to the questions. But in the learner's manual or material, there are no answers. Of course, mapi-perfect daw dun mga bata. Okay. So, in the learner's materials, okay, sorry, it's learned, but it is learner's material, sorry. So, the activities are there. So, for grade 8, this is our learner's materials. So, grade 8, the learner's materials. Okay. Yan. In fact, they have attached, I just borrowed this from my 2 teachers, so they attach sample of activity worksheets in their learner's materials. Okay. So here, these are the learner's materials. So, and the activity title is there, the materials to be used as well as the guide questions to be answered by the students are found here in the learner's materials. Okay. So there. These are the activities. Okay, grade 7 activity. Okay, there are 6 activities. And as we mentioned, we can deviate on these activities depending on the levels of your students, Okay. Or you need not tackle all the activities suggested because these are just suggested activities. Okay, so for grade 8, quarter 3. So, matter is found in quarter 3. Matter is found in quarter 3 and there are 3 modules. So module 1 is the practical nature of matter. So this is just a sample of the first module. And in the learner's materials, these are the suggested activities. Okay, so these are the suggested activities. Which is matter, which is not, what is matter, and so on and so forth. So the teacher may just choose any of these activities for as long as it is suited to the levels of the learners. Yan. Okay, for grade 9. For grade 9, where is matter? It is in quarter 2. Countless and active particles of matter, and there are 4 modules. And in the teacher's guide, so the modules are there, the activities as well as the answer to the suggested answers or the answers to the activities, to the questions. So in the learner's materials, the activities are there, the title and the materials to be used, the procedure and the guide questions. Okay. In grade 10, where is matter found? It is found in quarter 4. Okay, quarter 4. Matter and its interactions, and there are 3 modules. And the teacher's guide. So yan, the teacher's guide contains the module, the title of the modules, the activities, and the answers to the questions. The learner's materials also, it has the activity, the materials, and the procedures. Okay. So that ends my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so muling magandang hapon sa kanilang lahat. By the way, thank you very much. So pag-uusapan naman natin ngayon ang tungkol sa araling panlipunan. Subalit ang ating bibigyan ng diin ay ang grade 7 hanggang grade 10. So, nakikita ninyo ngayon ang CG ng araling panlipunan mula baitang 1 hanggang 10. Yun ay ang conceptual framework para sa araling panlipunan. So marami na ang nabanggit tungkol sa conceptual framework.
Subalit yung bibigyan natin ng diin ay yung nasa gitna. Okay, ang nasa gitna po ay ang baitang mula kinder hanggang grade 10. Okay, napapansin natin na sa grade 7, ito ay ang mga hamon at tugon sa Asasiano. Yes. Ang bibigyan natin ng din, sabi ko nga kanina, ay sa grade 7. So, bali itong conceptual framework ay nagpapakita ng kabuang framework sa araling panlipunan. So, mula kinder. Okay, ang araling 7 ay ang tungkol sa araling Asyano. And then 8 ay ang kasaysayan ng daigdig. Sa grade 9, economics. At grade 10, contemporary. Okay, subalit sa kasalukuyan, ang grade 8 at saka 9 ay kasaysayan ng daigdig. At ang grade 10 ay ang tungkol pa rin sa economics. Subalit, sa susunod na school year, ito na ang ating susundin. Sa seminar namin doon sa Lady Normal, na-found out namin na may mga school pala na hindi alam kung ano yung updates sa pagtuturo ng araling panlipunan. Ang dati pa ring sequence ang kanilang sinusunod na kung saan ang grade 7 ay ang tungkol pa rin sa ating bansa. Kakailangan at pagkabansa. Ika-4, karapatan, pananagutan at pagkamamamayan. Ika-5, kapangyarihan, otoridad at pamahala. Ika-6, produksyon, distribusyon at pagkonsumo. At ang ika-7 tema, ang ugnayang pangrehiyon at pangmundo. So sa pag-aaral ng araling panlipunan mula grade 7 hanggang grade 10, nakaangkla doon sa tema. Subalit hindi lahat ng tema ay tinuturo ng guro. Mayroon lang mga tiyak na tema ang binibigyang pansin ng guro. Katulad ng tema number 6, produksyon, distribusyon, at pagkonsumo. Ito ay tinatalakay o binibigyang halaga sa economics. Ang iba naman ay binibigyang halaga sa ibang grado sa ilalim ng junior high.
So these are the questions that I often ask to department head ng aral pa na hindi masagot-sagot sa akin na kung na-notice ba nila ang pagkakaiba ng content ng grade 8 at saka grade 9 dahil hindi nila binabasa ang CG. Di ba? So, ngayon, nakita natin kung bakit magkaparehas ang grade 8 at 9. Next year, mag-iiba na dahil itong grade 10 na to ay bababa sa grade 9.
And I assume na lahat ng division ay naka-receive ng DepEd memorandum tungkol dyan sa pagbabago ng content sa araling panlipunan. Okay, thank you. So hindi na natin bibigyan ng paghimay-himay ang bawat kasi nilalaman dito dahil kinakapos tayo ng oras, no? So at least nakita nyo kung ano yung itsura ng CG at makikita nyo ang diferensya nito sa ibang mga bagay na importante sa pagtuturo katulad ng teaching or teacher's guide at saka yung learner's module. So ngayon naman, ipapakita ko sa inyo ang teacher's guide sa economics. Medyo focus tayo sa economics. Ang gawain, ipapasagot sa mga mag-aaral ang pamprosesong tanong para lalong maiintindihan ng bata.
Ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir, good afternoon po. I am a kindergarten teacher. I have been teaching
the said level for 7 years, almost. I hope I will be able to meet her expectations. Okay. I am given about 25 minutes only to discuss all of this. I hope I will be able to do it briefly and concisely. Okay. Now, the National Kindergarten Curriculum Guide for Teachers is anchored, thank you ma'am, is anchored to the commitment of RA 10-157 and the first Millennium Development Goals. I don't think I have to discuss this because I'm sure as educators you already know this, no ma'am? That would, the two legal basis has the goal to create appropriate learning activities that will prepare the children holistically. That is, all of the domains should be developed, making them feel that learning can be pleasant, meaningful, and enjoyable. The aim of the guide is, of the curriculum guide, is to guide the kindergarten teachers in developing the motor, social, expressive language, and other readiness skills of the young learners. It consists of a list of standards categorized by domains, subdomains, components, and developmentally appropriate competencies and indicators. I will be having a run-through of this later on. Each matrix of the different domains is assigned with competencies and indicators, and the guide serves as a shopping list of skills expected to be developed that will prepare the child for formal instruction in grade 1. Now, these are the learning domains that are all anchored towards the goal of the National Development Goal. We have the learning domain. Okay, the learning domains included in the kindergarten curriculum is the physical and well-being, physical health and well-being. We have the motor development, mathematics, language and literacy, sensory perceptual, physical and social environment, character and value development, and the socio-emotional development. In one setting, all of these are touched. No? Medyo nakukuha ito lahat, just in one setting. One of the major challenges that kindergarten teachers should have is the complete understanding of the content and objectives of the curriculum, consistent with the universally accepted norms and conduct to ensure that young children are getting the appropriate preparation for schoolwork that will determine their abilities to thrive during the earlier part of their lives. So, hindi lang po academics or the domains that we have seen ang tinatalakay dito, kundi it is also preparing them for readiness, not only in academics but in their lives. The National Kindergarten Curriculum Guide provides play-based and activity-based. Lahat po ng mga lessons or learning episodes ng mga bata ay play-based and activity-based. That is why, sabi ng mga parents, ay, palagi na lang tayo maglalaro. When one parent asked me, Mom, why is it that kindergarten are always playing. So some parents do not understand that the activity are play-based activity for a better or meaningful learning. It takes into account the principle that young children learn differently. So kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na differentiated instruction. No? So they must be taught in an age and culturally appropriate way. The medium of instruction will be the child's first language or the mother tongue. The National Kindergarten Curriculum Guide uses a thematic and integrated approach to curriculum development in spiraling learning process, of course. So there's no particular content that is being discussed in isolation. Lahat po interrelated with each other. This approach employs an integrative and interactive teaching learning strategies as well as child-centered learning experiences. Bibilisan ko lang po. Later on, we will see the what is this? The concrete example of the curriculum guide being chunked into thematic webs and content outline. Weekly plans, meron po kaming weekly plans, meron po kaming, and everything is structured for the day. Kahit po yung sinasabi ng teacher, nandoon po sa guide namin. Although they are suggested in nature, but then I take it as a very good guide. Weekly plans provide budget of work, which outline the focus lessons for the week, basic expressions, learning experiences, and so on and so forth. Ito po yung ating curriculum guide. This is volume 1. This covers 1 to 20 weeks. 1 to 20 weeks, 1 to 20. Then this is the second volume or second part, which consists of 20 to 21 to 40. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the help. We follow blocks of time when we deliver our lesson. Okay, now there has been a revision of some of the names of the games that we have. Instead of Lotto, now we call them Cover All. Instead of Bingo, we call them Call Out. Then Domino, Connect All, and the fishing game, the Picking Up. I just want to update. I know I see familiar faces here, mga supervisors and principals that I have been with during our previous trainings. Medyo update lang po ito. So each week have 5 suggested daily plans with content focus statement. Meron po kaming sa isang week, we have content focus, and each day we have a message anchored toward the content focus. So, may message for the day, tapos mga activities. It is up for the teacher to choose which is appropriate for her set of pupils. Now, the suggested activities have the instruction or directions on what to do with them. They are appended right after the guide. Weekly lessons are made up of 5 daily lessons. Okay, so open it up. Okay, so everything is just suggestive. Bakit po ganito? Binigyan kami ng ng DepEd ng isang magandang curriculum guide because we don't have to worry what to do with the materials. We are guided every step of the way.
K-12, MTV-MLA, grade 1. With the end goal of making Filipino children lifelong learners in their L1, which is mother tongue or language 1, L2, Filipino, the national language, and L3, English, which is the global language, the learners are more than prepared to develop the competences in the different learning areas. It provides the following. First, it provides literacy. We only learn to read once. Second, it provides prior knowledge, engaging learners in a discussion of what is already familiar to them. Third, it provides cognitive development and higher order thinking skills, known as the HOTS. Using the learner's mother tongue provides a strong foundation by developing cognitive skills and comprehension of the academic content from day to day. It also provides a strong bridge because MTV-MLE provides a good bridge to listening, speaking, reading, and writing the L2s and L3 of the classroom using sound educational principles for building fluency and confidence in using the other languages for lifelong learning. Also provides scaffolding. It's scaffolding so hindi lang sa paggawa ng bahay, pati rin sa education. L2, which is Filipino teaching, the L1 is used to support learning when the L2 is not sufficiently developed to be used alone. It provides teaching for meaning and accuracy. Decoding text requires accuracy, while comprehending text requires decoding skills within a meaningful context. Confidence building and proficiency development for 2 or more languages. So along the following micro skills, listening, speaking, reading, writing, and viewing for both meaning and accuracy.
English, okay, then Aralpan, Mathematics, MAPE, Filipino sa ikalawang baitang. Pamantayan sa programa sa Filipino or the Core Learning Area Standard. Gamit ang wikang Filipino upang madaling maunawaan at may paliwanag ang mga kaalaman sa araling pangnilalaman, magamit ang angkop at wastong salita sa pagpapahayag ng sariling kaisipan, damdamin o karanasan ng may lubos na paggalang sa kultura ng nagbibigay at tumatanggap ng mensahe. Pamantayan sa ikalawang baitang. So ang mga bata ay inaasahan na sa katapusan ng ikalawang baitang, sila ay makapagsasabi o nakapagsasabi na ng pangunahing diwa ng tekstong pinasa o napakinggan. Nagagamit ang mga kaalaman sa wika, nakababasa ng may wastong paglilipon ng mga salita at maayos na nakasusulat ng kabit-kabit upang maipahayag at maiugnay ang sariling ideya, damdamin at karanasan na may kaugnayan sa mga napakinggan at nabasang mga tekstong naayon sa edad at kultura. May 14 na domains, so domains of literacy in Filipino. So ito ang una, wikang binibigkas or oral language in English, kamalayang phonolohiya or phonological awareness, palabigkasan at pagkilala sa salita, gramatika, pagunlad ng bokabularyo, kaalaman sa aklat at paglilibag, pag-unawa sa napakinggan, pag-unawa sa binasa, tatas, pagbabaybay, pagsulat, komposisyon, pakikitungo sa wika, literacy at panitikan, at mga strategiya sa pag-aaral.
Okay, so muling magandang hapon sa kanilang lahat. By the way, thank you very much. So pag-uusapan naman natin ngayon ang tungkol sa araling panlipunan. Subalit ang ating bibigyan ng diin ay ang grade 7 hanggang grade 10. So, nakikita ninyo ngayon ang CG ng Araling Panlipunan mula baitang 1 hanggang 10. Yun ay ang conceptual framework para sa Araling Panlipunan. So marami na ang nabanggit tungkol sa conceptual framework. So balit yung bibigyan natin ng diin ay yung nasa gitna. Okay, ang nasa gitna po ay ang baitang mula kinder hanggang grade 10. Okay, napapansin natin na sa grade 7, ito ay ang mga hamon at tugon sa sa Asyano. Yes. By the way, ang bibigyan natin ng din, sabi ko nga kanina, ay sa grade 7. Subalit itong conceptual framework ay nagpapakita ng kabuang framework sa Araling Panlipunan. So, mula kinder. Okay, ang Araling 7 ay ang tungkol sa Araling Asyano. And then 8 ay ang kasaysayan ng daigdig. Sa grade 9, Economics. At grade 10, Contemporary. Okay, subalit sa kasalukuyan, ang grade 8 at saka 9 ay kasaysayan ng daigdig. At ang grade 10 ay ang tungkol pa rin sa economics. Subalit, sa susunod na school year, ito na ang ating susundin. Sa seminar namin doon sa Lady Normal, na-found out namin na may mga school pala na hindi alam kung ano yung updates sa pagtuturo ng Araling Panlipunan. Ang dati pa ring sequence ang kanilang sinusunod na kung saan ang grade 7 ay ang tungkol pa rin sa ating bansa. Kakatilanlan at pagkabansa. Ika-4, karapatan, pananagutan at pagkamamamayan. Ika-5, kapangyarihan, otoridad at pamahala. Ika-6, produksyon, distribusyon at pagkonsumo. At ang ika-7 tema, ang ugnayang pangrehiyon at pangmundo. So sa pag-aaral ng Araling Panlipunan mula grade 7 hanggang grade 10, nakaangkla doon sa tema. Subalit hindi lahat ng tema ay tinuturo ng guro. Mayroon lang mga tiyak na tema ang binibigyang pansin ng guro. Katulad ng tema number 6, produksyon, distribusyon, at pagkonsumo. Ito ay tinatalakay o binibigyang halaga sa economics. Ang iba naman ay binibigyang halaga sa ibang grado sa ilalim ng junior high.
So these are the questions that I often ask to department head ng aral pa na hindi masagot-sagot sa akin na kung na-notice ba nila ang pagkakaiba ng content ng grade 8 at saka grade 9 dahil hindi nila binabasa ang CG. Di ba? So, ngayon, nakita na natin kung bakit magkaparehas ang grade 8 at 9. Next year, mag-iiba na dahil itong grade 10 na to ay bababa sa grade 9.
Then I assume na lahat ng division ay naka-receive ng DepEd memorandum tungkol dyan sa pagbabago ng content sa Araling Panlipunan. Okay, thank you. So hindi na natin bibigyan ng paghimay-himay ang bawat kasi nilalaman dito dahil kinakapos tayo ng oras, no? So at least nakita nyo kung ano yung itsura ng CG at makikita nyo ang diferensya nito sa ibang mga bagay na importante sa pagtuturo katulad ng teaching for teachers guide at saka yung learners module. So ngayon naman ipapakita ko sa inyo ang teacher's guide sa economics. Medyo focus tayo sa economics. Ang gawain, ipapasagot sa mga mag-aaral ang pamprosesong tanong para lalong maiintindihan ng bata.
Punta tayo sa PG at saka sa LM ng grade 4. Okay, so dito, makikita natin ang makikita ito sa TG at saka sa LM. Only, nga dito sa, yung picture, unit picture yan ng bawat unit. Meron tayong 4 na units. Tapos yung sa kabila, yun ang description tungkol sa buong unit. So, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, at Unit 4. So, ito yung patnubay ng guro at ang kagamitan ng mag-aaral. So, yan yun. Meron ako ditong sample pala ng mga, nandito. Katulad din ng sinabi ng high school, nandito na rin ang curriculum guide. Okay, so anong makikita natin sa TG sa ESP? Okay, narito. Meron dyan aralin 1. That is for the whole week, 1 week. So, nandun ang layunin, nandun yung paksa, pagpapahalaga, ang mga kagamitan, at integrasyon. Sa mga pamamaraan, ang ginamit dito ay ang 5 proseso. Alamin, isagawa, isapuso, isabuhay, at subukin. So, ang bawat proseso dito ay dapat italakay ng guro. Halimbawa sa alamin, isang araw itong tatalakayin. So, dapat dito, ang guro ay kailangan niyang kuha sa mga bata na talagang maaalam ibahagi sa mga bata na kailangan nilang malaman ang nasa layunin mo. Dapat nilang maalam sa isang araw. Sa pangalawang araw, yung kanilang nalaman ay kailangan nilang isagawa. Okay? Sa isagawa, nandito na ang mga gawain. Dito, makikita ang mga gawain. Merong 2 hanggang 3 gawain. Tapos yung mga ginagawa na nila, nagagawa na nila, kailangan makita yan na nasa puso na, isa sa puso na ng mga bata sa pangatlong araw. Okay? At pagkatapos niyan, may sasabuhay na may apply na ng mga bata ang kanilang natutunan. At sa panghuli, ay kailangan ng masubukan. Subukan na, mayroon na assessment na. Ito yung curriculum guide ng ESP. So ito lang muna, hindi makita naman siya, pero may i-print akong curriculum guide sa bawat subject sa grade 4. Pero bawat aklat meron naman. So, sa curriculum, dito makikita ang key stage standards na diniscuss na kanina din. Sa grade 4 hanggang grade 6, kasi nagsisimula tayo sa grade 4. Ito yung pangunahing pamantayan sa bawat yugto na ipamamalas ng mag-aaral ang pag-unawa sa konsepto at gawain nagpapakita ng pangunahing pansarili, pananagutang pansarili pang pamilya, pagmamahal sa kapwa sa bansa, sa daigdig at sa Diyos, tungo sa kabutihang panlahat. So dito ang focus ay yung bata na kailangan niyang maunawaan ng mga konseptong ito. So, ang grade level standards naman sa grade 4, kailangan may pamalas ng mag-aaral ang pag-unawa sa mga makabuluhang gawain na may kaakibat na pagpapahalaga tungo sa wasto, maayos, masaya at mapayapang pamumuhay para sa sarili, sa kapwa, bansa at sa Diyos. Okay, so ito ang nakapaloob sa bawat unit o ito yung tema. Okay? Nandyan yan sa table of content. Unit 1 ay para sa pananagutang pansarili at pagiging mabuting kasapi ng pamilya. Unit 2, pakikipagkapwa-tao.
pagmamahal sa bansa at pakikibahagi sa pandaigdigang pagkakaisa, Unit 3, at Unit 4, pananalig at pagmamahal sa Diyos, paninindigan sa kabutihan. At subukin. So ito yung panghuling gagawin ng mga bata. So kung makikita natin na kulang pa, halimbawa na nakalakay mo na yung alamin, mayroon pa tayong oras, pwede magdagdag ng gawain.